Durham, I would like to take you to Zambia, where two men were arrested for allegedly trying to use charms and basically harm the country's president, Hakainde Hichilema. So it's alleged, according to a police statement, that the two purported a mission where they were going to use charms to harm President Hakainde Hichilema and I think cause him some sort of some sort of pain in one way or another. So those two were arrested. Though, how do you prove that someone was going to,
well, you never know. The state may be having its own spies out there who always warn them, or let's say fortune tellers who normally tell the leader that, you know what, there is a gentleman here who wants to try their luck and overthrow you in the African way of doing things.
Wow.
But of course, in this modern world, when you start hearing these stories, really, you're like, okay, this is really Africa, because these are African stories that you cannot find anywhere in such an era. And I'm not saying that it's not happening away from the African continent, because every country has got heritage, they've got their own traditional beliefs. But these witchcraft tendencies of, especially when it comes, they're homegrown, many of them are more dominant on the African continent.
That's true.
Because back in the time, these were the ways where people would claim, where people would claim leadership, people would take over territories. So very possible on my side.
Oh wow, interesting. But also in another development, Cyclone Chido has killed 94 people in Mozambique. The cyclone has killed 94 people in Mozambique since it made its landfall in the East African country last week. This is according to local news. We'll be giving you more details regarding that. But for now, Jerome Paul is taking us through the local news.
And speaking of the local news, we start off with mourners that gathered at St. Paul Cathedral, Namirembe, to attend the requiem service of the late engineer Daniel Ssebugwawo. Engineer Daniel Ssebugwawo, husband to the State Minister of ICT, Joyce Nabosa Ssebugwawo, succumbed to cancer. And in his sermon, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, said there must be hope in everything. He asked Ugandans to live exemplary life so as to leave a legacy. And the Kabaka of Buganda, in his message read by the Deputy Speaker of Buganda, the Buganda Luchiko, Ahmed Rasa, hailed the late engineer Daniel Ssebugwawo as a person who made an impact on the Buganda kingdom. And the widow, also State Minister for ICT, Joyce Nabosa Ssebugwawo, said her husband was loving and supportive. She thanked all those who supported her during the trying moments. And on behalf of the central government, the condolence message was delivered by the Ministry of ICT, and that was by Honorable Chris Baryomusi, who eulogized the late as a hardworking person. Now, Dr. Baryomusi also applauded the late for letting his wife, Joyce Nabosa Ssebugwawo, serve his country. And the Ministry of ICT contributed over 100 million shillings as condolences towards the burial arrangements. Now, the Musu clan leader, Omutaka Munyingo, talked about the late as a person who played a pivotal role in his clan, and others, including the family members and the children of the late Daniel Ssebugwawo, spoke highly about his life and applauded him for laying a good foundation. Engineer Daniel Ssebugwawo died before his birthday on the 23rd of December. He died aged 89. Now, the State Minister for Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations, Honorable Esther Anyakun, has encouraged Ugandans to learn from the innovative spirit of Eritrean immigrants, which has helped them become self-employed. She was at the Eritrean Citizens Annual Conference, and while speaking at the conference in Konge Buziga, Anyakun noted that Uganda is home to approximately 15,000 Eritreans, some of whom are investing heavily in the country. She praised the Eritrean community's contribution to Uganda's development and assured them of the government's continued support. Eritrean Ambassador to Uganda, Ahmed Suleiman, hailed government for allowing Eritreans to thrive in the country, with the Presidential Advisor on Diaspora Affairs, Abe Chigozi Walusimbi, highlighting the significant investments made by Eritreans to create jobs. Kisanet Tedros, who led the event, commended Ugandans for the hospitality and peaceful nature. And this is the second time Eritrean citizens met to reflect on their achievements since moving to Uganda. And away from that, Uganda is facing a growing mental health crisis exacerbated by substance abuse among its youth. The Ministry of Health and the Uganda Counseling Association revealed that 14 million Ugandans are grappling with mental health issues, placing Uganda 6th among countries most affected by mental health challenges. Increasing cases of mental health have caught the attention of government and parents as Butabika National Referral Hospital struggles with the increasing number of patients with mental health disorders. The 2022 report by the Ministry of Health and the Uganda Counseling Association shows that 14 million Ugandans have mental health issues. This places Uganda 6th among countries most affected by mental health disorders. Senior Hospital Administrator at Butabika, Dr. Sheila Okodi, revealed that the crisis requires comprehensive response. Dr. Okodi calls upon parents to raise their children in a supportive environment, pointing out that the spaces once meant for relaxation have become hubs of harmful activities, especially substance abuse. Now, to address this crisis, Mental Pitch, a non-profit organization, in collaboration with Chinatown, extended support to Butabika National Referral Mental Hospital. And lastly, from the local news, the Thamaratul Janal Girls Education Center in Wakiso held a graduation ceremony for its Hafizats. The event also celebrated the achievements of top class from Thamaratul Jana Integrated Junior School, and Sheikh Hamis Maweje, Imam of Hams Mosque, and the event's chief guest emphasized the critical role of teaching girls the Quran. Now, the Hafizat of Thamaratul Jana Girls Education Center graduated the students and top-class students of Thamaratul Jana Integrated Junior School, and these recited Quran as a sign of their achievements. Now, Sheikh Hamis Maweje appealed to parents to prioritize teaching their daughters the Quran and also emphasizing the religion to nurture a generation of good morals. Now, Nasiwa Zaitun thanked parents who made the sacrifices to provide children with a religious education, which is an investment for the future of society and the Muslim community in general. Now, the graduates reflected on their journey and highlighted their achievement throughout the time at school. And that does it for our local news this morning.
Well, now we launch into our international news, where President-elect Donald Trump has demanded Panama reduce fees on the Panama Canal or return it to the U.S. control, accusing the Central American country of charging exorbitant prices to American shipping and naval vessels. The fees being charged by Panama are ridiculous, highly unfair, he told a crowd of supporters in Arizona on Sunday. This complete rip-off of our country will immediately stop, he said, referring to when he takes office next month. His remarks prompted a quick rebuke from Panama's president, who said, and I quote, "Every square meter of the canal and surrounding area belonged to his country." President Jose Raul Molino added that Panama's sovereignty and independence were non-negotiable. Trump made the comment to supporters of Turning Point USA, a conservative activist group that provided significant support to his 2024 election campaign. It was a rare example of a U.S. leader saying he could push a country to hand over territory, although he did not explain how he would do so, and a sign of how American foreign policy and diplomacy may shift once he enters the White House following his inauguration on January 20th. Now, moving on, Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico has made a surprise visit to Moscow for talks with Vladimir Putin, becoming only the third Western leader to meet the Russian leader since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago. Fico, a vocal critic of the European Union's support for Kyiv in the war, said they discussed supplies of Russia gas to Slovakia, which the country relies on. A deal with the Russian gas giant Gazprom to transit energy through Ukraine to Slovakia is due to expire at the end of this year. Top EU officials were informed about my journey and its purpose on Friday, Fico wrote on Facebook. Fico said the meeting in Moscow was a reaction to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky telling EU leaders that Ukraine remains opposed to Russian gas being piped through its territory. The Slovakian Prime Minister, who survived being shot earlier this year, also said he had a long conversation with Putin and the two exchanged views on the military situation in Ukraine. Both discussed the possibilities of an early, peaceful end of the war and mutual relations between Russia and Slovakia, Fico wrote on Facebook. Now coming back to Africa, heading to West Africa, the number of dead from a crowd crash in the southeast town of Okija in Nigeria has risen to 22, this according to police. It is the third case this week of people being crushed to death at events where free food was being distributed. The fatalities in Okija occurred at a charity event on Saturday when residents rushed to collect Christmas donations, including rice and vegetable oil. On the same day, a similar tragedy at a Catholic church in the capital city, Abuja, killed 10 people, while 35 children died during a carnival event on Wednesday in the city of Ibadan. Police have now warned organizers to notify authorities before holding charity events in order to prevent such loss of life. Toyin Abdul Kadri, who witnessed the crash at the Holy Trinity Catholic Church in Abuja, told AFP News Agency the attendees forced the gates and forced themselves inside. The event involved vulnerable and elderly individuals, and 4 children were killed, this according to the police. In a social media post about the crashes, Amnesty International Nigeria wrote, and I quote, "President Bola Tinubu's government must urgently prioritize addressing widespread hunger, higher unemployment, and the rapidly falling standard of living." Well, that ends our local and international news. Now let's have a look at our press.
Well, the New Vision writes the 2025-2026 budget to be cut by 14 trillion Ugandan shillings. The details of sectors to be given priority are inside today's cover. Then Kampala Mukono meter gauge very launched. The front page is the President and the Minister of Works and Transport during the launch. And then education head teacher remanded over inflating enrollment. That is in matters education. As Ugandans flock Kampala for last-minute shopping. That is at the front page of the New Vision. There's also a pictorial of urban dwellers in Chikubo, that is in the Central Business District. Now, careers, the unsung heroes who work on Christmas. Find that report in the New Vision. Now, in Business, Vision Group unveils new profit strategy. As in matters crime, Pastor Kayanja accusers have case to answer, according to the court. Then the Daily Monitor, pesticides, the silent killer. According to the experts, that pesticides used in Uganda are categorized as highly hazardous pesticides. These, the World Health Organization says, present high level of acute or chronic hazards to human health and the environment. Now, you can look at the missed target. A review study on pesticides is showing that up to 75% of highly dangerous pesticides are being used. Then looking at the global market loss is at 829 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now in the other news, Ugandan vaccine research scoops international award. Which vaccine is that? Find details. Now judiciary reshuffles 93 magistrates. As in the regional news, security heightened ahead of the festivities. And then in healthy living, how Monitor stories saved lives in 2024 as religious events that define 2024. And as the year comes to the end, the Daily Monitor gives you the year-ender, a review of which gospel or religious events rocked this year. Then Daily Nation in Kenya writes, Ruto's dramatic U-turns, politics. Critics accuse president of going back on many campaign promises. Now DCI issues alert as Michelle Babes cast their nets wider. As cartels selling substandard underweight cement. More of that is in the Daily Nation. Then reports some NGOs funding terrorism actors, according to the Daily Nation's Monday edition. Then in matters impunity, here are the graves why Masabit village is angry with police boss. Then also mass exodus, motorists stranded in massive gridlock on Nairobi-Nakuru highway. Details proceed, Daily Nation. Then lastly from our press review is the Citizen from Tanzania. Bank of Tanzania allays fears after asset drop. Then cable cars and private railway operators are in the pipeline. As matters procurement law is an obstacle, say experts. Then plan to transform varsities dodged by lecturer shortage. Then in matters business, career growth, why generative AI skills should be on your CV. That is something that you can easily look into in today's dailies.
Well, we'll take a short break. Here is, we wish you a Merry Christmas. Have a good time. Enjoy. It's the season to be merry and happy.
Out his life and uploaded him for laying a good foundation. Engineer Daniel Ssebugwawo died before his birthday on the 23rd of December. He died aged 89. Now, the State Minister for Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations, Honorable Esther Anyakun, has encouraged Ugandans to learn from the innovative spirit of Eritrean immigrants, which has helped them become self-employed. She was at the Eritrean Citizens Annual Conference, and while speaking at the conference in Konge, Buziga, Anyakun noted that Uganda is home to approximately 15,000 Eritreans, some of whom are investing heavily in the country. She praised the Eritrean community's contribution to Uganda's development and assured them of the government's continued support. Eritrean Ambassador to Uganda, Ahmed Suleiman, hailed government for allowing Eritreans to thrive in the country, with the Presidential Advisor on Diaspora Affairs, Abe Chigozi Walusimbi, highlighting the significant investments made by Eritreans to create jobs. Kisanet Tedros, who led the event, commended Ugandans for the hospitality and peaceful nature. And this is the second time Eritrean citizens met to reflect on their achievements since moving to Uganda. And away from that, Uganda is facing a growing mental health crisis, exacerbated by substance abuse among its youth. The Ministry of Health and the Uganda Counseling Association revealed that 14 million Ugandans are grappling with mental health issues, placing Uganda 6th among countries most affected by mental health challenges. Increasing cases of mental health have caught the attention of government and parents, as Butabika National Referral Hospital struggles with the increasing number of patients with mental health disorders. The 2022 report by the Ministry of Health and the Uganda Counseling Association shows that 14 million Ugandans have mental health issues. This places Uganda 6th among countries most affected by mental health disorders. Senior Hospital Administrator at Butabika, Dr. Sheila Okodi, revealed that the crisis requires comprehensive response. Dr. Okodi calls upon parents to raise their children in a supportive environment, pointing out that the spaces once meant for relaxation have become hubs of harmful activities, especially substance abuse. Now, to address this crisis, Mental Pitch, a non-profit organization, in collaboration with Chinatown, extended support to Butabika National Referral Mental Hospital. And lastly, from the local news, the Thamaratul Janal Girls Education Center in Wakiso held a graduation ceremony for its Hafizats. The event also celebrated the achievements of top class from Thamaratul Jana Integrated Junior School, and Sheikh Hamis Maweje, Imam of Hams Mosque, and the event's chief guest emphasized the critical role of teaching girls the Quran. Now, the Hafizat of Thamaratul Jana Girls Education Center graduated the students and top class students of Thamaratul Jana Integrated Junior School, and these recited Quran as a sign of their achievements. Now, Sheikh Hamis Maweje appealed to parents to prioritize teaching their daughters the Quran and also emphasizing the religion to nurture a generation of good morals. Now, Nasiwa Zaitun thanked parents who made the sacrifices to provide children with a religious education, which is an investment for the future of society and the Muslim community in general. Now, the graduates reflected on their journey and highlighted their achievement throughout the time at school. And that does it for our local news this morning.
Well, now we launch into our international news, where President-elect Donald Trump has demanded Panama reduce fees on the Panama Canal or return it to the U.S. control, accusing the Central American country of charging exorbitant prices to American shipping.
For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange. Haven't you heard of the Parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for being here with us. It is the Christmas week. I'm sure you're making merry, getting ready, shopping. There is a lot of chaos in Kampala because many people are doing last-minute shopping now. I don't know if you've put your Christmas tree up already, but it's never too late. You can start now. But now, as we speak about Christmas, we must as well look into our health. And according to health experts, they say that there is need for urgent action action to stem the widespread misuse of antibiotics, and this is something they are calling a bitter pill to swallow in Uganda, because many Ugandans are abusing antibiotics, and because of that we now have antibiotic resistance in the country. Well, my name is Olive Monica Najuma, together with Jerome Paul Sonko, and this is the moment where we dive right into it. Now, Jerome, there is a antibiotic resistance and misuse in the country, but let me ask you a personal question. Do you ever feel sick and you just go to the pharmacy and tell the pharmacist, give me amoxicillin and maybe something else, and you take without a prescription?
Not really. In most cases, when I'm sick, when I happen to go to a pharmacy, I think the only issue I have is I normally go out and say, maybe I have some headache, I'm feeling some headache, can you give me some medicine for headache? So in most cases, I do not wait for checkup. And I think it is the age where we are in, where so many of us at times never go for medical checkups, but we only use the signs and symptoms we have. You can easily see even some of the adverts of some few medical products that are run on, let's say, social media or let's say television. They will tell you if symptoms persist, you seek medical advice. Yes. And it's very rare for Ugandans to seek medical advice, not until symptoms are really dire. So coming into the question you asked, is at times I find myself in such situations, but the first thing I do is I get medicine according to the symptoms or the signs I'm having. Yes. But also looking into this particular conversation we're having, Olive, I've been looking at some definitions of antibiotics, and one of the most dominant one talks about antibiotics being medicines that help fight infections that are caused by bacteria. Now, with this day and age, there are quite a number of antibiotics on the market, and some of them are known to be antibiotics, while the others are not, and or let's say patients tend to take these antibiotics minus knowing that these are antibiotics. And it puts us in this kind of conversation where we're open to say, is it now time for conversations of antimicrobial resistance and things like that? But then there are also some key facts about antibiotics. For example, target bacteria. These particular ones target bacterial infections. Now, today, with our kind of lifestyle, Olive, that we are having or that we are living, has found us having, being into spaces where it is very easy to get infected by bacteria. Very easy. Either the kind of foods you're consuming or where you're staying. But either way, you're getting infected. And this kind of, antibiotics are on the market because they are targeting this bacteria. And at least also the beauty is with the level of exposure, at times Ugandans get to know that they are affected by bacteria and they need antibiotics. But the most worrying situation we are in is that today, once someone gets to know that they are affected by or they are infected by a given bacteria, they just run immediately to the pharmacy, hospital. They just get an antibiotic. And whether it's going to cure
do they even know for sure that they have the said bacteria? Because no lab tests have been run, so we are here self-medicating. How dire do you think the situation of self-medication is in the country?
It is worse. It is worse. And I'll just take this randomly, that today, almost the majority of Ugandan adults have done some self-medication. That if at all I'm having headache, the first thing I'm going to run to is thinking, do I have painkillers?
And you will self-medicate, but there could be a different trigger to the headache.
Exactly. So without even checking or doing any test, I'll definitely just swallow painkillers. And the most worrying thing is that if these painkillers solve the problem I have, I'll get used to that.
If they give you
that bit of the relief. Exactly.
Yes.
So if they give you that bit of relief, I'll run back to the pharmacy every time. So in simple terms, I become addicted to that kind of process. That if at all I am having slight headache, the best way is to get some painkillers and it will heal. So I'm not treating the major problem. I'm just trying to control the pain that I'm having now. So once the pain is done, I feel I'm healed. Because not so many of us, by the way, Olive, take our time to return to hospital, especially after medication.
Okay, now health experts also indicate that there is increased antimicrobial resistance among different patients in the country. According to the experts, they say that this means this is a situation where diseases, viruses, or bacteria are no longer responding to the medicines that are supposed to kill them. Unfortunately, in Uganda, we are having more and more of this, and it ranges from issues like self-medication and sometimes being misdiagnosed, and a patient is taking drugs that they're not supposed to be taking for a lengthy period of time, so much so that by the time they are moved to the different medicine they are actually supposed to take, it's a bit too late for them. Now, Joram, I understand that this is a global problem, but when it comes to the case of Uganda, it is even much worse. What more are the experts saying?
Well, the experts also highlight the risks and challenges attached to overuse or misuse of these antibiotics. And they talk about the fact that there is that bit of the antimicrobial resistance. This is a situation where it becomes very difficult with time to treat any infection, or the infections become harder to treat because the bodies have become antimicrobial resistant, and the body have now started misusing these antibiotics. And because so many of these antibiotics are on the market and we use them, like I alluded to earlier about how we self-medicate. You're just buying medicine to just heal any slight pain you get without even checking.
That's right.
But because you know this medicine has been helping you. Now, over time with these antibiotics, we are feeding them into our systems, and in the long run, it becomes very difficult for any future treatment of infections. It becomes very difficult because now the body has become antimicrobial resistant. But then there's also another bit of the side effects, and according to the experts, it's that it also creates room for allergic reactions. You're seeing cases like nausea. You're looking at cases like just allergy in general, where you're allergic to, let's say, drugs themselves. Now you can easily,
the drugs that are supposed to help
supposed to help you, and you become allergic to certain drugs that are supposed to help you in in the system. And then there's also a side effect here that is talking about getting diarrhea as well. Part of misuse or overuse. And I don't want to even say misuse. I think it's overuse now, because why we are even in this situation of antimicrobial resistance, where the body system is now failing to even be able to accept treatment, is we have overused some of these medicines. You're overusing them. Now at times you're even using them when you don't need them.
That's right.
So
because ideally a antibiotic, I beg your pardon, antibiotics are supposed to be the last step of treatment when other medicines have failed. But now what happens, especially during self-medication, and some quack doctors, like one doctor we saw a couple of months ago being revealed, many people start with the highest level of treatment. You have an issue, then you get an antibiotic as your first level of treatment. So by the time your ailment or disease gets worse, there is no other measure because you started with the highest. That's why it's very important to go to the doctor, have labs done so that you know what exactly is ailing you and what to do or change. According to experts also, Jerem, they're saying that the germs that cause diseases such as pneumonia, typhoid, diarrhea, meningitis and various other infections are changing, and because of this, it's very hard for them to be treated. Experts say that they have changed to such an extent that the medicines that used to kill them no longer work effectively on them, and these medicines are what we call antibiotics, which include penicillin, septrin, tetracycline, among others. So because of that, we have a ticking time bomb on our hands. But
you know, Olive, when you talk about the ticking time bomb, I think it is because some of the health practitioners today have turned health into a business generally. And we also have other players within the health sector who are selling many of these antibiotics. And there are so many of them.
It is just business?
It is just business, or because they are accessible to them. They know where to import them from. They have clearance to sell or licenses that allow them to sell these antibiotics. And so to them, it is just business. And many of them do not even have the bit of the medical know-how of how some of these things are supposed to be used. So there is no room for prescription. It is just following the terms being written on the antibiotics drug. Or let's say it can be a simple syrup, it can be just tablets and things like that. And this person selling these products only knows that this is an antibiotic. And the manufacturer said it's going to heal this infection or this given bacteria. So meaning, if you think you have that bacteria, because many of us at times do not even go for checkup. Once I feel like I have headache, my mind is telling me this is what is, maybe I have fever.
Okay.
So maybe I have malaria. So I just rush to the hospital and say, doctor, I think it's just malaria. And some of these doctors we refer to are either running pharmacies, and at times this is not even a doctor who has been in hospital, but it's someone who has done his bit of pharmacy education, and they have the license to sell. And I'm not attacking many of those who are running pharmacies, because I do know there are quite a number of pharmacies that are operating legally and they are giving out better medical attention to patients. But then they are the same ones that are on the spot in this kind of situation.
I think where pharmacies and pharmacists come out to be on the spot is because they will sell the medicine without a prescription. Because ideally, medicine, probably among the solutions, Jeremy, we could be looking at, there is a, do you think that government should now move forward to put in place systems that ensure that people cannot self-medicate, people cannot just walk to a pharmacy and buy medicine without a prescription?
Well, sadly, I think the systems can allow that to happen, but we are in a situation where all of you will go to hospital, let's say even a public hospital, and the medicine you're supposed to take or that the doctor is prescribing is not within
if it is not
the public
within,
hospital,
then
and
he
they're
will
going to
write
refer
for you a prescription to go to the pharmacy.
To go to a pharmacy. Now, in most cases, some say that the doctor might refer you to a pharmacy that they own, or others will say they might refer you to a pharmacy, or they will just refer you, or let's say, to just go out there and look for it yourselves, because they do not have it in their storage facilities within the public hospital.
But you have a prescription.
Yeah, but you have a prescription. So at times, the government has to ensure that we have the medicines.
Okay, there is that. Okay.
And then when it comes to the bit of self-medication, you will say this is supposed to start with the individuals. Because now today, you're not going to blame a lot on the government when it comes to self-medication. Some of us are a little bit laid back or relaxed when it comes to our health. You know why?
Why?
Because Olive, when you are sick and you're ill, the first thing that has to cross your mind is treatment.
True.
And when it comes to treatment, the things that are supposed to be clicking in your head during that time is one, medicine, a doctor, checkup. Now, in most cases, the first thing that crosses our mind is healing.
Okay, Jerome.
And overcoming the pain or overcoming this kind of illness.
Yes.
And what we do in most cases is before, at times, many people do not even know that at government hospitals there is free treatment?
Let me,
or let's say free checkup.
Let's dial back a bit. Yes, someone, okay, free checkup, thank you. But still, there are some lab tests that will have to cost you money.
It depends on
if you're not testing
it
for
depends.
malaria. Yes, it depends, I hear you. But when you, I think you're getting the government off the spot quickly, because let's look at the reasons why many Ugandans will choose to self-medicate, because ideally everyone would like the best quality medical care when they are not well. Okay, so what are some of the reasons Ugandans are looking at, or they are putting forward for saying, because of ABCD, this is why we decide to self-medicate?
Self-medicate. One of the reasons as to why many self-medicate, okay, is the fact that hospital medicine or hospitals kind of charge highly, especially the private hospitals. Now putting the government in the spot here. Why people opt to go for private hospitals at times is because there is no medicine or there are no doctors in the private hospitals, meaning that the government has to put more efforts. Yes. Which efforts are supposed to create room where Ugandans know it is very accessible for me to go to, let's say, a dispensary in my locality to go for treatment. And then there is also this interesting bit that at times, even those who want to access these government hospitals will find no doctors there. So they rush to hospitals. Now, when it comes to self-medication, why many self-medicate is at a pharmacy, most of the medicines are accessible and affordable. In fact, they are affordable.
They have from cheap to most expensive,
exactly,
depending on your...
And they will tell you this one can also help you,
yes,
depending on the money you have.
They even tell you this is made in Uganda, this is made in India,
exactly,
this is made in
so
the UK.
You will ask for, let's say, malaria drugs, and the doctor will tell you Coartem is this amount, then this is this amount. So for you, you will sit back and say, according to my wallet standings and my financial muscle, this is what I can afford. So you will definitely go for that. And now this is how self-medication comes in. Now in the long run, you're like, okay, it seems every time I get sick, I can easily get medication for 10,000. As simple as that. But what are
the effects of doing that?
So we put ourselves in that condition. And but why am I taking us back to not only putting the government in this hotspot, but also creating room for accountability from our own selves? This is your health. And since it is your health, you have to make sure that you prioritize it. First of all, the kind of foods you take. And the reason as to why many Ugandans are overtaking antibiotics today is because they've been told that these antibiotics are treating infections or bacterial infections, and they're also easily accessible. So the element of accessibility is making things very easy for anyone to go for one self-medication or to even have these antibiotics in their systems. And there are people who have so many of the antibiotics in their home lockers that one may think they are practicing medicine. So at times you wonder. You know, back then in our families,
the storage of these
yes,
drugs.
Back then in our families, I think every family in Uganda has that big kind of tin where your father or mother would, in fact the mother would keep different medicines for treatment. And I think that is where self-medication started from.
That's where it started from, but also it's very dangerous because some of these medicines, you do not know when they're supposed to expire. You bought some paracetamol, especially this one that is not sealed.
Yes.
You bought it, God knows when, you're still keeping it. Whenever someone has a headache, you administer. You have some metro, whenever someone says they have a stomach ache, you administer. But you don't even know their reactions to these medicines. You're just giving them.
And you know, when it comes to reactions, Olive, the experts also highlight some bit of the consequences that are attached or that are going to be attached to overuse of antibiotics. And one of them is the increased mortality rates. And this particular mortality rates, where we are losing quite a number of people, is so common among the vulnerable vulnerable groups, inclusive of which the elderly, and then the pregnant mothers, and then also those particular individuals that have chronic illnesses. So it puts them in the spot where at times it is very easy for them to succumb to any illness that hits them. And the reason being that the other consequence is talking about the prolonged illnesses and hospital stays. So at times these antibiotics kind of make us really weak, that the body becomes very weak, and in turn the body cannot live without a specific drug or a specific antibiotic in the system. So you're in the long run becoming weak. People are just seeing you all the time moving to hospitals, and they don't know why you're always staying in hospitals. And then the experts also look into the reduced effectiveness of antibiotics, because let's face it, antibiotics are very important to the body, but the more you're using them, just like any drug, drugs are meant to heal and to also help the body function well in case of any infection or any kind of attack that you have within the system. But the more you're using them, the more your body becomes resistant to any other kind of antibiotic that you're taking or any kind of medicine that you're taking. So these are some of the consequences that the experts are warning the Ugandans or the viewer who's watching us, that, well, however much we are using them, but it kind of puts us at risk of so many things, one of which is death, prolonged illness, which in the long run obviously is going to lead us to death, but then also this bit of antimicrobial resistance, meaning your body no longer, whenever you put in something within the body, it doesn't work because your body has already been built different because of what you've been taking over the years.
All right. Now, according to experts, they say that in Uganda, it is estimated that about 7,000 people died in 2019 due to due to microbial resistance, and also other experts are actually saying that this could even be an underestimation, since many people do not visit health centers. So you could find that the 7,000 reported in 2019 are the people that health centers were able to record. But then how about those ones that were taking the drugs at home and later died without visiting a health expert? It's also the experts are also saying that resistant bacteria can be transmitted from animals to humans as people eat meat or take milk from animals that have drug-resistant bugs, or what you'd call germs. And they say that these germs can be transmitted from humans to animals as well, through being in close contact. So every direction through which you look at it, this is not a good report. But Jerem, as we close, what would, you're not an expert, so you will not speak as an expert, but still, as a person that is concerned that many of our people, 7,000 is quite a number, and this is 2019. So many years since then to now, you could find that the numbers have increased. What message would you give to Ugandans out there?
I think I'll also give it to myself.
Yeah.
That when you look at the issue that we are facing with self-medication, and it cuts across, I think we need to focus on going for prescription of drugs, and also ensuring that we take the drugs according to the given duration. Because at times when you're in hospital, just last week when I was in hospital, the prescription I received from the doctor was saying, you're taking these particular drugs 3 times daily after 8 hours. Meaning you have to be mindful of those hours. And since I wake up quite early in the morning, it's very easy to balance those 8. But I think to many of us who have found ourselves into the issue of illness, we need to go in for, subscriptions, especially from prescripted. We need to go for prescriptions from health practitioners or doctors or nurses, given the person you've found in a hospital or a given clinic. Because at least these are people who are within the health sector, who know how things are operating. And at times it's not all about the money that you have, but at least it's to ensure that your system is functioning well and you're healing. The most important thing is the healing, not only to get something that kind of puts you in the mood to work today, and you forget that you have to finish up your entire prescription. But then also, I think we need to put it into mind that some of these antibiotics do not heal viral infections like flu or a cold. So there is no need for you to have flu, and these are
you take amoxicillin. I don't know why people take amoxicillin.
And it's very common today because flu is so common within our kind of setting here. Flu, cough, and things like that. So once there was a time I was talking to someone and they were telling me because they do have antibiotics, so it's very difficult for them to get flu, and I was like, oh, okay. Whoa. You're lucky. What? And I was like, oh, okay. But we need to be very mindful about our own health. And then on the other side of the government, I feel like we've been talking here is that we need to have medicines within the government health centers. And the report I started with earlier, Olive, about the NDA recovering drugs or medicines worth 4 billion Ugandan shillings. These are ARVs, according to the report, that were being sold in neighboring countries of DRC, South Sudan. Now one may wonder, why are we selling off free drugs that are meant for the people? We are supposed to be having them in hospitals. So this is something that we need to work on, to see that Ugandans can easily get access to medicine, free medical care, so that we don't have incidents where people only depend on pharmacies and self-medication.
Also, experts indicate that overusage of antibiotics can actually lead to kidney failure. Now, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jenrutha Cheng, says that people should stop buying antibiotics over the counter. They must have a prescription. But she also goes on to say that for government to tackle this and bring it to an end, sectors need to work together so that they can curb the increased usage of antibiotics by people, and also to curb the increased resistance of the same. So we have to do better, and we can do this by strengthening infection prevention and control in healthcare facilities, farms, gardens, and food industries, and also ensuring access to vaccines, clean water, hygiene, as well as promoting best practices in food and agriculture. Everything is interconnected, so we need to be more vigilant. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Maskari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
As we start off business this morning, we start with a report from the National Drug Authority that has called for increased public cooperation to tame the rampant theft of government drugs following the recovery of medicines worth 4 billion Ugandan shillings this year. Now, Mr. Abias Ramiri, the NDA spokesperson, revealed that some of the medicines were recovered during a targeted operation by the NDA in Kampala and Wakiso. Now, the National Drug Authority felt it was important that that they spend 3 months non-stop conducting targeted enforcement, knowing that Kampala and Wakiso alone have more than half of the registered drug outlets in the country, so it becomes the center of attention. Now, Dr. Alfred Akali, an officer in the NDA enforcement unit, said that during the targeted operations in Kampala and Wakiso, they recovered the ARVs and closed illegal drug outlets, and this operation covered the suburbs of Nansana, Kira, Makindye, Nakawa, Kawempe, Rubaga, Chengera, Boyogere, Kajansi, Kasangati, Entebbe, Matuga, Bulenga, among other areas within the metropolitan. And as a result, over 900 drug outlets were closed, 2,000 boxes of assorted medicines were recovered, impounded and brought to Kampala extra region, and also 740 tins of ARVs worth 1 billion Ugandan shillings were recovered. Now, Mr. Ramwiri revealed in the interview that some of the stolen ARVs are taken to South Sudan, Congo, and the DR Congo, where they are sold. So when it comes to the illegal sale of stolen drugs, it is something that the NDA and the government is really working to put an end to. Now, away from that, Entebbe International Airport is continuing to record more than 18% of traffic growth. Now, the 11th month period saw a total of 2,020,787 passengers go through the airport compared to 1,733,133 during the same period in 2023, according to data from the Uganda Civil according to the data from the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. Now, the 11-month period saw that total of 2 million compared to the 1.7, and this rise highlights a recovery in air travel, with this year's figures also surpassing the 1.4 million passengers that were recorded in the first 11 months of 2022 after the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the growth in the number of international passengers is due to a number of factors, including tourism and Uganda hosting a number of international events like the Non-Aligned Movement NAM and the G77 plus China summits that happened in January this year, in addition to a stable economic environment resulting into increased international trade, according to the spokesperson of the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. Now, by the close of November, the airport handled 182,932 international passengers, split almost evenly between arrivals of 91,867 and departures of 91,065, averaging 6,097 passengers daily. Now, aircraft movements also grew up by 5.6% year on year, with 29,751 flights recorded from January to November 2024 compared to 28,167 in 2023 and 26,511 11 in 2022. Now, the cargo volumes at the Entebbe International Airport rose to 61,393 metric tons in the January-November period, a 14.1% increase from the 53,803 metric tons that had been recorded in 2023. Now, the exports accounted for 41,012 metric tons, while imports totaled to 20,381 metric tons. And of course, the traffic also continues to grow as many Ugandans seem to be traveling during this festive season. And of course, one can also attribute to the tremendous maintenance works at the Entebbe International Airport. Now, summing it up with business, we turn our focus on the forex market to see how the currencies are faring on the exchange. Well, I'll be giving you more details of that by tomorrow morning. For now, that does it for business. Coming up is the Good Morning Uganda agenda. Stick around. Good morning.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the Parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The Parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
This PRENO, as the name prescribes, is the project for restoration of livelihood in northern region. So it was designed to support the population in order to implement the national programs of wealth creation, improving household income, and this is done through supporting agriculture. And by supporting agriculture, you support seed production, training of farmers, mindset change, and even it went ahead to have components of food security grants, whereby families were given grants to be able to improve their food security. But there was also community-based natural resources grants, which were given to families to put in place woodlots, which would help them to reduce on killing the vegetation and deforestation, looking for energy or for firewood.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Well, thank you so much for sticking with us. This is Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najuma, and we are delving into our topical discussion for the day, and that is artificial intelligence. We want to assess and get a clear understanding of artificial intelligence, especially in the perspective of Uganda. Now, as you may know, artificial intelligence is transforming the world and how the world operates, offering unprecedented changes, but also there is a lot of fear that artificial intelligence may actually replace certain jobs. I was going to say our jobs, but yes, it might replace certain jobs in the nearby future. I think some jobs have already been, pushed aside because of artificial intelligence. So one wonders, where will we be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? We have restaurants, for instance, in East Africa, in Kenya, there is a restaurant where they use artificial intelligence robots to take orders and serve clients in the restaurant. We also know that many people, instead of hiring assistants now, we have Google Assistant, we have ChatGPT, to mention but a few. They are very effective and less costly. So many employers may be thinking, do I really need to hire many people to work for me? But there is also the question of can robots or machines or AI do exactly what humans do? Well, there is so many questions over there, and I am with Martin Ayabazibwe from Otic Foundation to delve deeper into some of these questions, to give us answers and maybe ponder on some more questions with us this morning. So join me in the conversation. You can send through your questions, your views regarding artificial intelligence, especially in the case of Uganda, through WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning, Monica.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So I'm glad you're here because probably in another world we won't be able to have this. I don't know if 100% that won't happen.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you so much for coming through. How is your Christmas week going?
I think it's begun well. I don't remember the last time it was raining in a Christmas week, so I think it has also set new expectations for me. Of course, it's a week to ponder on the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So it's so far started well, if you ask me, Monica.
Okay, now going into our conversation today, how do you think artificial intelligence is being applied in Uganda?
Thank you so much, Monica. Well, artificial intelligence is something that is becoming more tolerable or entertained in the Ugandan industry. I can tell you for a fact there are quite a number of organizations and companies that are integrating artificial intelligence in their back-end systems. So you see a lot of companies, for example, advocate for the use of generative AI applications like ChatGPT, Gemini, just to mention a few, to support them in document formulation, emailing, drafting. So I think it's a conversation that is becoming more tolerable. And yes, and usable in the Ugandan context, if you ask me.
Okay. And just as we start, do you think, what level of awareness overall do you think is there for artificial intelligence on in the case of the general population, like Ugandans overall?
Right. Now that's a very good question. And maybe to answer it, I could give it a little bit of context. Truth to be told, I think there is quite a gap, a skills gap in Uganda in diverse areas. For example, if you look at the demographic of our country, we have a lot of, more than 50% of our population is still either in school, secondary school, or university, or in an institute. And if you just base from there, you benchmark from that particular area, there are a lot of people in Uganda at university level, Monica, who have no idea about what artificial intelligence is. They are doing, courses, and they are finishing up campus, but they don't have an idea what artificial intelligence can do. They have not fully appreciated the potential, the disruptive nature of AI, or how it can help them improve their productivity in wherever they are going. So there is such a huge gap as far as awareness is concerned in our country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, of course, when we talk about gaps, we also talk about solutions. So we see that we still have a huge gap, and we shouldn't, because the rest of the world has already caught on. They have embraced artificial intelligence in different facets of doing business, of running schools. So much more has been done. So we cannot afford to be lagging behind. Now that you have identified that we have a gap, what are some of the solutions that Otic Foundation, where you are the executive director, what are some of those solutions that you are pointing out and saying, you know what, this is what we should adopt as a country?
Well, now, as Otic Foundation, we initially began with creating awareness, especially in universities. Because those are centers of excellence. That's where the talent really is. So we began with awareness sessions, and we were going to universities, university after university. We are in more than 10 universities as I speak. And we've had quite a number of trainings, hands-on trainings, taking students through the fundamental competencies of artificial intelligence. At a university level, we've had conversations with some university administration on how we can incorporate artificial intelligence in their curriculum. In around August, we had a program called Free AI in Every City. And that program was actually, interestingly, it was looking at the whole demographic of our country, whether a person is in school, secondary school, they have just graduated from the university, they are at that corporate job. We had hundreds of people thronging those classes, and I'll tell you, Monica, we had about 132 graduates who went through the whole cohort and were actually graduated with certifications ready for workspace. We've also taken it on with the corporate organizations. We've had quite a number of corporate training sessions in quite a number of organizations. Even in some government offices, we had a very wonderful session with the Directorate of Veteran Affairs under the Ministry of Defense. It was a very wonderful session because I think it's just interesting to see how people are able to appreciate what artificial intelligence can do. So we've had quite a number of sessions, and we intend to also scale that next year.
All right. Now, as you do these trainings, I'm curious to know just a little bit of what's inside there. What parts do you touch? What are you trying to ensure that as university students get to know? Or when you go to corporate organizations, what aspects of AI are you touching?
Yeah. So when it comes to training, we always tailor the training based on the needs of the audience. For example, the sessions we have with university students are so much embarked on them understanding what they need to be more employable, for lack of a better word, what they need to be above the curve, above the competition. What skill does a university student need to be able to have something that not everybody has, or have something that is relevant to the organization? Because you can have a degree, you could finish a bachelor's degree, but you may not actually have the skills that the organization needs. You may not actually be relevant enough for the organization to enroll you. So we take them through how to, of course, increase their productivity using generative AI applications. We also take them through understanding, because most people are sort of misinformed about artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence is not just a technology. It's the bedrock of the fourth industrial revolution. So an industrial revolution, when one industrial revolution is phasing out into the other, a lot of things change, a lot of things are disrupted. Monica, you would agree, the time they introduced the third revolution, where we had ICT coming in, a lot of jobs changed.
True.
If you were a secretary and you could not...
Using a typewriter.
And then you have Microsoft Excel coming up. I mean, you had to adopt. If you didn't adopt, you'd probably be laid off, and someone that knows how to use Microsoft Excel would show up on the door, and that would be trouble for you. So for organizations, corporate organizations, we take them through the diverse applications of artificial intelligence in their daily processes. Or we take them through tasks that can easily be automated. Of course, we take them through even that executive level training on how they can adapt to change, how they can provide for AI adoption. So it's really tailored for the audience. So every audience has a different package for them.
Okay, so in your perspective, where we are, we should make sure we do not, I'm going to use an example, that we don't find ourselves in the same situation Nokia and Kodak found themselves at some point, because they failed to get with the times. Okay,
I can't agree more.
Okay, and if you know Nokia and Kodak, obviously you know that when the likes of Samsung came on board, the likes of BlackBerry, and actually BlackBerry also was moved aside by the likes of iPhone. So we have to get with the times, and artificial intelligence is here with us. Now, do you have any questions to Mr. Aibaziwe? Please send them through, or any views in supplement to what he has shared with us. Share them through WhatsApp number 0709-602-592. We are assessing Uganda's AI readiness. Are we there yet? Are we ready? Do we have an open mind regarding the same? That's the question we're asking. And on an individual level, because when I say Ugandans, you're like, oh, it's the country. But on a personal level, especially if you're actively in employment or creativity, production, whatever you're doing, how ready are you for AI? Because it's changing life as we know it, and it's important for us to get on board with it already. Now, Mr. Ayabaziwe, in as much as AI is a good thing, we also know that it can be misused. So I'm curious to know, does Uganda have an AI policy or regulatory framework in place?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. This year has actually been a very good year as far as this AI conversation is concerned. And as Otik Foundation, we have seen a lot of, I could call it a very good political will, government will, as far as adopting this technology is concerned. I think we saw something, the National AI Task Force that was appointed to oversee and direct on what we need to do as a country and just oversee the whole process on the AI policy and framework. Last month, we had an opportunity to, should have actually been this month, we had an opportunity to participate in a dialogue that was contributing to that conversation. I see a lot of things that are really contributing to the formulation of that policy. If you look at, for example, our neighbors in Kenya, they have drafted a policy. Usually a policy really needs a lot of public engagement, so it's a process. And I want to think that in Uganda we are at the initial stages of that process. Yes. Okay.
What role do you think government should play in fostering AI innovation in Uganda, while also ensuring ethical usage?
Yeah. That's a very good question. Now, when you look at, for example, the role of government, it's very, very instrumental, especially as far as a conversation like this is concerned. Even when you look at the way, for example, the readiness index is, the parameters the readiness index is measured against. One of them is the government. Of course, there's the technology sector, and then the data and infrastructure. So the government is responsible for implementing, for formulating that policy and framework, because that policy and framework interprets the adoption process. If you, for example, look at the Kenyan draft, the policy, AI policy and framework draft that they have formulated, it addresses issues like data protection, because it's really the duty for the government to protect citizens. It addresses things like inclusion, because you don't want to leave any particular sector behind, so it's an all-rounder. There's also aspects like responsive use. If, for example, you have a company that is developing an AI tool, the government, through that policy and framework, is supposed to hold that company responsible and accountable. So you have things like explainable AI, organizations being able to explain the processes and the back-end processes of how they are formulating this artificial intelligence, accountability. So all of these aspects are addressed by that policy and framework. And of course, that also goes into the conversation of the presence or the existence of a policy of policy and of an AI policy drives investments, global investments into the country, because the investor is sure that there is a return of investment. He's sure of the commitment the government has toward whatever he's trying to set up here. So the government plays a very, very instrumental role in that regard.
Okay. Now, let's talk about security, because, I mean, Bank of Uganda was recently hit. They lost over 60 billion Uganda shillings in about 3 seconds, according to reports. So how is Uganda addressing concerns about data privacy and cybersecurity in relation to AI systems?
Okay, it still goes back to awareness and skilling. Like we are doing the artificial intelligence skilling and awareness, cybersecurity is, there's a huge gap in that as well, to sensitize people, individuals. Recently, I think there was an article that was published by the Monitor or New Vision. I don't remember very well the particular paper, but it was, you know, it was an article about personal WhatsApp accounts being hacked.
Yeah, that was in the Daily Monitor.
Recently.
Yes.
So you realize that beyond the organizations, it also takes that awareness and skilling of the individuals, of the whole population about cybersecurity, how they need to carry themselves on these platforms, because it's a double-edged sword, really. You expose yourself, but then you're also exposed. There's a lot businesses are benefiting from the digital economy, but then they are also exposed to unequal danger of being exploited. So I think there needs to be an awareness, a skilling and awareness, especially in cybersecurity, that needs to go hand in hand with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it has to, because when you look at that article that you just mentioned, WhatsApp, the Meta tells us that WhatsApp messages are end-to-end encrypted, but here we are learning that we are not that safe, and I believe that many people believe that they are safe. For the case of WhatsApp, many companies have adopted WhatsApp as one of their communication channels.
I agree.
Now you can't say I was offline, I didn't have data. No.
Exactly. Exactly.
During active work hours, you must be reachable through your private WhatsApp number. So that means there is a lot of sensitive information that is being shared.
That's true.
So I think there is something more we need to do when it comes to cyber security. So hopefully you're having these conversations with government and there are moves being made to ensure security.
Yes. I think it's something that we've not taken lightly on us, because every time we have, especially when you're introducing a conversation like artificial intelligence to a corporate organization, Monica, for most of the part, their worries are, how protected are we? You know, how protected are we from cyber attacks? And I think also that goes back to the conversation of being able to scale the spectrum of scaling, the spectrum of training, the scope of skilling in the country. And I believe it's like any country that has made great progress as far as AI adoption is concerned, there's always that equal attention that is given to data privacy, and some of those conversations, I believe we are having them even in the formulation stage of the AI policy and framework.
Okay, at least there is light at the end of this AI adoption tunnel. But now let's look at AI and economic development. Wonderful. What sectors in Uganda stand to benefit the most in the AI adoption?
I think pretty much all of them. When you look at, for example, agriculture being the backbone of the economy and employing more than 60% of the labor force, there's a lot of potential AI is able to bring in. When you look at, for example, the value chain from the place of production to the place of the market, there are a lot of values that can easily be defined.
How exactly can AI enhance agriculture, the agriculture sector?
Yes, we have things like precision farming, which if you compare, they actually have more crop productivity as far as that is concerned. And if you compare them to the traditional methods of farming, you realize that if a person is able to isolate and be able to be detailed, and that's where now data analytics come in, that if a farmer, one person said something interesting. I remember I attended the conference and they said that there is a farmer that farms with his stomach for food. There's another farmer that farms with his heart because they are passionate about farming. And he said, but there's another farmer that farms with the mind. That's a farmer that is data driven. that is a farmer that is insight-driven. When you look at, for example, the possibility of being able to predict the weather patterns so that a person is able to make a decision, you know, on when should I grow my crops. When you look at instances like disease detection, early disease detection using computer vision, there are a lot of developments that are happening in the area. If you look at the coffee industry, there are a lot of diseases that can easily be detected even before they spread using AI embedded systems. So it has the potential of both increasing the productivity, reducing the cost of production, and also consequently increasing the quality. And of course, Uganda, I believe that we are an export-oriented country.
Yes.
So it's something that can go a long way in increasing the productivity in that area. But also when you look at, for example, education, AI can actually create a personalized experience. I don't know whether you've used some platforms that kind of personalize your learning experience for you and go with you on your journey, and you learn at your own pace. If you look at, for example, the VR optimated learning experiences, these are things that can actually, in times where we have limited skilled staff, some of these technologies can come and fill in that gap. When you look at, for example, things like climate change, being able to use mapping to identify and monitor deforestation, if you're able to also monitor limited resources, there's a lot that artificial intelligence can do to curb climate change. When you look at health, there are a lot of developments that are happening, especially in disease detection. AI is actually helping in diagnosing diseases, you know, much better sometimes than human capability, you know, being able to detect foreign objects in bodies. So there's a lot of work that is being done in that regard. Machine learning is being used to also come up with discovery of drugs, you know. The potential is endless. The potential is endless as far as what AI can actually do to this, to our economy.
Interesting. Actually, speaking about health, I think a month or two ago, there was a report, I think it was in The Guardian, of a Chinese medic who carried out a surgery from China on a person that was, I think, in the United States.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly.
So he did this through the use of AI.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see the potential it has is that beyond the human capability, it brings this computational power to be able to do things that perhaps we are limited to do. I'll give you, there's also another story of, I think they were doing something in detecting, I think it must have been detecting cancer. So they were having issues where certain patients, they would be diagnosed to be cancer-free. And then after a few months, cancer would appear. And they realized that there was an issue in the diagnosis. And they employed artificial intelligence, and the results were actually much better in detecting that particular. So it's amazing what's actually happening. Some of these things are in the development stages, but we are on that journey.
Okay. Oh, well, that makes me a bit worried because if we are running the labs, I mean, someone has gone to medical school for over 5 years.
Yeah.
And I know they use the help of machines to determine the presence of these maybe cells or germs or whatever that they are looking for to ascertain whether there is the presence of a certain disease.
Yeah.
Still, if humans failed and artificial intelligence did it, that brings me to the other question of, are we safe? Are our jobs safe?
and I can surely relate with that.
Yeah.
Where we are now, it's important that we, I think, get the true perspective of things. There are a lot of people that are scared that artificial intelligence is actually going to take away their jobs. But like the computer introduced the need for a secretary to better their skills and upskill themselves. Artificial intelligence is actually calling us to upskill ourselves as well, because it still cannot operate without the human aspect to it. I could give you an example. If there is a machine that can use computer vision to detect a disease, it's still going to be handled by a doctor.
True.
But it's going to be handled by a doctor that has the back-end knowledge and understanding of artificial intelligence.
So the doctor needs to not only have the medical understanding,
yes,
but they have to also now know how to employ artificial intelligence.
Rightly said, Monica.
Okay.
Rightly said.
I also understand when, for instance, you use your chat GPT on your phone, it gives you better answers depending on the prompts that you feed it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, basically AI is garbage in, garbage out. What you give it is what it gives you back. That's why I don't see a place of a person consistently getting a lot of productivity with an AI tool with a passive involvement. You have to know what you are doing.
Exactly.
Yes.
So do you think in essence, for those that are intentional, artificial intelligence could actually make them smarter?
Yeah, of course, and that is why if you look at, for example, if you look at the report, I think by the World Economic Forum, there's going to, I think they say by 2027, the productivity, just the millions of the jobs that are going to be created out of the AI integration into work. It's artificial intelligence, like how a person has a cognitive ability to think, to learn, and apply themselves. You're looking at a system that is able to leverage on millions of data, millions of experiences to come up with an answer. So if a person is able to know how to work with it, definitely, with both the computational power of artificial intelligence and their own cognitive ability, they will have better results and better productivity, without a doubt.
Okay, so you don't have to be so worried about artificial intelligence replacing you, but you should worry about whether or not you're being passive with it. Are you trying to learn all the tools that you need to be able to use it for the better future? But I would like for us, before we move on, to conclude with something on AI and economic development. Let's look at some of the success stories. Are there any notable success stories of AI startups or initiatives in Uganda?
Okay. Yeah, maybe I could even just share our experiences as Zotic Foundation.
Okay.
We have a mission of training 1 million AI talents by 2030. And
say that again.
We have a mission of training 1 million AI talents by 2030 in Uganda.
That is 5 years away.
That is 5 years away.
Yes.
And we've so far trained more than 3,000 people, and with some already having job-ready certifications. And what we've seen so far this year, Monica, if you look at, for example, of course, we had an endorsement by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. And a couple of international partners that came in to support our mission. We've seen tremendous acceptance. We've seen tremendous stories. If I could just take you back to the cohort we had, where we had graduates that graduated from our free AI in every city. Next year, we intend to scale that in Lira, in Kabale, in Jinja, because it worked, because the turn-up was amazing. It's just amazing how many people are being awakened to what artificial intelligence can offer them. But in there are startups that we see coming up. We see businesses, we see businesses and AI startups coming up because the skilling that we've done in the country, in its own way, Monica, has created some kind of awareness, but also it has created demand, you know, in the long run. So if you have a population that is increasingly becoming aware of artificial intelligence and what it can do, they're going to start demanding for it. Organizations are going to start demanding for AI tools that they can embed in their work operations. For us, that is really success, and it's a great opportunity to serve our nation. And we believe that as we scale that up next year, we're going to see a lot of businesses that are bold enough to incline to artificial intelligence. And yeah, so it's something that we look forward to.
Okay. Well, we are assessing Uganda's AI readiness, but for me, I like to even veer off the Uganda part and ask about your AI readiness at an individual level. And I'm having this conversation with the Executive Director, Otik Foundation, Martin Aiwaziwe. We are digging deeper into the issue that is artificial intelligence. Many of you understand it in terms of Gemini, Google Assistant, in terms of ChatGPT, but there is so much more when it comes to artificial intelligence that we need to know and learn, because let's face it, it's going to stay here. There is no way we are going to get rid of it, because it's making futures better. So we might as well get onto this bus and move forward, steady progress, right? Now, Martin, I understand that with anything good, there are challenges on the other side. And from your perspective, when you look at Uganda, what are some of the challenges that have been the major challenges really in AI adoption in the country? Adoption and development.
And development.
Yes.
Okay. So when you, for example, look at Uganda, actually in 2023 was rated by I think it must have been the Oxford Insights that did a research about the global government readiness index of countries, and we were quite below average because of a few maybe things I could highlight. But also there's been great improvement just in this previous months. If you look at, for example, our data and infrastructure space, which are some of the aspects that benchmarks that they use to measure our readiness index, we have a lot of work to do, especially as far as AI infrastructure is concerned. I mean, for us to be able to build localized AI tools, for us to be able to have tools that are relevant in the Ugandan context, a tool that a local business can use to be able to reach out to its customers and increase productivity, you need a national data center. A data center that has data that has been collected across the country, that has a very good measure of representativeness. That is us being able to have data that can easily, that has been accessed from a very good portion of the population. You also need to have, of course, the data center. That's really a lot of capex that we need. So the absence of that means that there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of investments that need to really come in, and that's why the urgency for the AI policy and framework cannot be understated, because we need to look at it from the place of cost versus benefit, as of what is it costing the country without having that AI policy and framework. What investments are we not seeing coming in? What brain drain, what skill is not able, feels that they are not able to connect to the economy because what is needed is not there, you know? If you look at, for example, the AI conversations that are happening globally, without an AI policy and framework, we are isolated from those conversations. And of course the benefits that come with being part of those conversations. So if you look at it from that perspective, it comes from us with the AI framework and policy. We shall be able, of course, to see curb some of those things that we're missing out. But we need, of course, that national data center. When you look at, for example, also the part of the skills gap. And as Otik Foundation, we are trying as much as possible to make sure that we have skilled workspace. Actually, we are taking it a notch higher, because for now we've trained more than 3,000 people, but out of those 3,000 people, we have a couple of hundreds that already are certified for jobs. But because the world is a global village, the emerging jobs actually, for the most part, they're global jobs, right? The emerging global jobs. So we are trying to connect, we are working with BPOs, international BPOs, to be able to connect our AI talent to those opportunities, remote opportunities, so that we can actually bring Uganda AI talent on the world map. So we need the AI infrastructure, we need the AI investments, we need AI research hubs. I don't think we need to begin from scratch. I think it's just a place of getting the partnerships that we need, getting the global companies coming in. I feel that is something that can be done, and as Otic Foundation, we are playing our part in that. So, but also advocacy with the government. It's something that we can. We are very happy actually that we were endorsed by the ministry. That was a vote of confidence. That was a vote of. It really brought a lot of credibility in the work that we are doing as Otic Foundation. But I feel if we can have the AI infrastructure, if we can have the skill. A population that understands artificial intelligence and it is skilled in artificial intelligence, if you can have those public-private partnerships, of course, to be able to scale this conversation and actually go into the development stage, I think we will be able to participate, even compete in the region.
Well, thank you so much. Now, Martin, we have about 2 minutes, but I have a question for you from Dr. Mhereza Martin. He says, what is artificial intelligence in simple terms?
Okay, that's a good question. So in simple terms, it's really, artificial intelligence is the ability for a machine to be able to do automated tasks that could have been done by human intelligence. Like how you have the cognitive ability to think, learn, and respond, think. It's the ability for a machine to be able to do that.
Okay.
I don't know if I've been as simple
as possible.
Yeah.
I think you have been. Now, David Twijuche says he's watching us from Sironko district in Mbale, and he says AI is very important, especially for digital marketers and content creators. And he says, myself, I use it for creating content. Thank you. And thank you so much, David, for writing to us. Then the next comment is from Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makindye Luafu. Merry Christmas, Derek, and thank you so much for always writing to us. He says, good morning, Olive and our guest. Currently, artificial intelligence is more advantageous to us, more so in this civilized era. People have now embraced it in their various businesses and in different places, and it's doing wonders. It is also indicative of evolution as a nation, but in the long run, AI is likely to cause a big gap of unemployment when people's presence on jobs is irrelevant. And he goes on to say, let us welcome it while we shine our eyes for how to use it without costing our lives. My special birthday wishes to Nalwoza Maria Assumpta, our choir secretary of Friend of Heaven Youth Choir, Masaja Parish. I see what you just did there, Derek, but well, happy birthday to Nalwoza Maria. Now, the last comment comes in from Solomon Ebong from APAC, KIU Western Campus student. He says AI is good, but when you look at critical thinking, it's still behind because it might need a human to operate it, and guided, it's going to improve efficiency, but efficacy will be compromised. And then he says, additionally, government needs to come in and strategize on providing accessibility to gadgets like computers and smartphones to a greater population through subsidizing its purchasing cost and data bundles, remove of OTT tax. Do we still have this? And perfectly, Ugandans will be enjoying this AI. That is Solomon Ebong from APAC. Your view on Solomon's comments regarding efficacy being compromised as we close?
Thank you. Yeah, the question of ethical consideration is actually very, very focal. When you look at the AI development stages, as far as the AI development stage is concerned. But also that goes to the AI policy and framework, that it's really the guiding document. It's more of like what guides the conversation and kind of sets a checklist of what the things that needs to be ticked.
Yes.
But I love one of the comments the person from KIU mentioned on how they're actually using artificial intelligence. We actually, at OTIC, we actually taking on the AI skilling quite seriously. We actually having products that are for students even at a young age of senior 4. We have a product called AI for VACIS program. AI for VACIS program, Monica, is actually tailored for senior 4 and senior 6 VACIS, because we believe if a mind can be introduced to the AI conversation so that they are able to know how to leverage on it, by the time they go to campus, Monica would agree, they would be thinking differently. They would be there wouldn't be a lot of work to be done in them. So it's something that we feel needs to be. I'm glad that you know, we had a student that commented on that. I feel this is something that needs to be started, needs to be enrolled in the curriculum at a younger age. Because those 2, 3, 4 years, by the time a person knows how to use Python and they're in senior 4, we already have quite a number.
They're already coding.
Yeah. Actually, this cohort is beginning next month. That's when we're going to have the first cohort of the AI for Vakis program. And it's amazing to just see someone at the age of 16 being exposed to these conversations. It's something that is so beautiful to see, Monica. And I believe that that's something that can go a long way, especially in skilling and awareness as far as the AI conversation is concerned.
All right. Well, we can't go any further than that, but one takeaway for me is that AI is the future. It is the now, so we have to get on board.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayabaziwe Martin,
Thank you so much for having me.
But maybe before we close, for those that may want to reach out to OTIC Foundation, how do they get in touch?
Okay, that's a good question. They can reach out to us on our socials. We have a page on X called OTIC Uganda. We are also on LinkedIn. Our website is oticfoundation.org. In there you'll find our contacts. You can always reach out to us. If anyone has an organization, a company, a school, and you feel like you want to have the AI conversation started and you want to start your AI journey, we are open for business. Thank you.
All right, open for business. And as you make your New Year resolutions, this could be one of them, and put it like up there on top. We've been having many conversations regarding skilling of young people, but I think in that conversation we should also include AI readiness for our young people, because like the Bagandas say, so let's get on board. Well, thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najuma. Now Ruben Pima is coming up next with sports updates, and I will catch you again tomorrow at 6:30, so keep the dates.